Today we're reacting to Sportsnet debating Max Domi's role next to Austin Matthews. It's a mix of effort, emotion, and question marks about fit. If you enjoy this content, like the video and subscribe.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a cheap deal, but if you're going to make that move, you sure better sign the guy. So Vancouver's doing stuff. You know, we got Elias Pettersson's name is once again out there. How much stuff are they doing? Is this going to happen this year, do you think?
I think there's definitely a growing suspicion from teams that it does happen this year. And I mean, there are some thinking maybe even potentially before the Olympics.
Really?
Now, that feels kind of quick, but the Canucks have been in this spot where they're ready to and willing to consider anything and everything pretty much throughout the course of their organization. And I think the other part is the market that we've just talked about, which is look at the deals signed for Dvorak and Wenberg, $5.15 million for Dvorak and $6 million for Wenberg. And all of a sudden you turn around and you look at Elias Pettersson and you say, if we believe this is a guy that we can rejuvenate, get his career going again with a change of scenery, all of a sudden $11.6 million a year doesn't sound like a crazy risk profile.
What would Carolina give up for him?
I think Carolina is one of a handful of teams right now that has been burning up the Canucks. I think the expressions of interest and significant interest at that has really ratcheted up in a significant way for Vancouver, that they're trying to have to look at this in a serious way right now.
Frank, let's keep things moving around the National Hockey League, including a second letter out of the New York Rangers. And in it, they spoke of a core that they'd like to build around. In your estimation, outside of Shesterkin, who is the core?
That's it.
What is the core? Yes, I think is a great question, Kipper. And, you know, it's in my view, a pretty small group of individuals right now that you'd bolt down and say, this is who's going to be part of the New York Rangers moving forward. Shesterkin, probably Adam Fox, likely Braden Schneider on the back end, Will Cooley up front. And then after that, I think you are seeking prices and values on just about everyone else on your roster. And that's a really uncomfortable place to be, because the blueprint with those players as the foundational pieces moving forward is not very sturdy. You wouldn't be building a skyscraper in Manhattan based off of that. And so I don't know if it's missed opportunity along the way. I don't know if it's an aborted rebuild from the other letter that you referenced from 2018 from Jeff Gorton, that they kind of got halfway through it and decided to pivot and contend. I mean, this
Domi brings energy every night, and that's something fans respect. He plays with emotion and isn't afraid to get involved, which can help spark a line.
is a team that did win a President's Trophy along the way, and I think they've got some real questions to answer about how the state of things moving forward, who's going to be there and who's not. It's an uncomfortable time for the New York Rangers.
And just want to get a sense for coaching hot seats around the league. This is maybe the time of year if it happens.
I just wanted to ask him about Panarin.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right?
Yeah. I'll go second.
Yeah, just one more on the Rangers before we pivot.
Stay with it.
Panarin, and up against a no move. And your thoughts on whether or not he'll decide to stay and play it out to free agency, or will he accept a trade?
Oh, I think he'll be accepting a trade. I don't see any incentive to want to stay for a team that's going in the opposite direction, where, if anything, your numbers may be stifled a bit. And by the way, Panarin, point per game player in every season in New York. Outside of Zdeno Chara, I'd say one of the very best and most productive free agent signings we've ever seen in the salary cap era when you look at his numbers. And when you look at the teams around the league that are looking for high-end skill, I think there's a few teams that stand out. Washington and their general manager, Chris Patrick, on the record last week saying, we want a high-skilled winger. Hello, Washington. The Minnesota Wild, could you imagine putting Artemi Panarin opposite Kirill Kaprizov and the magic that they could make there? I think there's a number of teams that are looking at this situation going, I don't know if we're in for the long haul with Panarin. And by long haul, I mean legitimately that, in the sense that the belief is around the league that Panarin is looking for a longer-term deal, potentially one that even takes him to 40. I don't know how much teams have a stomach for that. Someone will, because it only takes one. But even as a rental, he's viewed as a very attractive option where maybe outside of New York, he doesn't have to be the guy for the first time and could be that really nice supporting piece.
Do you want me just to reiterate that question? Do you remember it? Coaches and hot seats.
I remember you guys bantering. So go ahead.
Coaching hot seats. Is there anyone around the league? Like, it feels like we've had minimal changes this year, but a lot of rumors about coaches that could be in trouble. But, we're kind of getting to that point, aren't we?
We are, and I think there's that opportunity potentially even before the Olympics to get everyone on the same page before a break. Guys get a vacation, some of them are going to Milan, and to set a standard and an expectation before you get to the crunch time of March, I think would be really helpful from a scheduling perspective. And I also think same thing for potential trades. Why wait till
At the same time, his style doesn't always match Matthews perfectly. Sometimes it clicks, other times it feels a bit messy and rushed.
the last minute when you can have a guy be able to use the Olympic break to get his family settled if he's interested, or to understand what the scheme is, to be able to find his way around the city or the rink or even team structure and how things work. All really important things. But when it comes to coaching hot seats in general, I think a few of them stand out. And it's kind of amazing that Dean Evison ended up being the first one fired this year because, I mean, think about all the various names that have floated through that mill over the course of this season. I mean, Craig Berube was on that hot seat for a while. Sheldon Keefe in New Jersey. We've talked about Jim Hiller. At a point in time, people were calling for Scott Arniel. I mean, it has been a whole whack of different coaches this season. But right now, I'd be focusing squarely on Hiller and the Los Angeles Kings, who feel like they're running out of patience.
Speaking of which, the Rangers aren't the only team struggling in the greater New York area. You mentioned the Devils, Sheldon Keefe, Tom Fitzgerald had a press conference that many people were feeling like he needed to step up at the podium. How much are they feeling it, including what to do with Dougie Hamilton now? And what's realistic for a guy that still has another 2 years, I think, at $9 million? What are you hearing on that?
Well, it's not an easy transaction. We know that. And I do believe there's a handful of teams that are interested if the Devils are willing to retain a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean knock $2 million or $2.5 million off of that number. And I think they're ready to take on the Dougie Hamilton experiment at 7 or 7.5. But at the same time, they're not really willing to give you anything of substance or value in order to make that happen. So what's the incentive for the Devils? It's to clear the deck. It's to get what has been a festering situation. And I don't mean Hamilton specifically. I mean that whole aura hovering over their dressing room, which I think has enabled their season to spiral here. And then the other part of this is who is part of this core on the back end, who's staying, who's going, who's getting the ice time, who's getting the opportunity, and then figure out the rest from there. But make no mistake, the New Jersey Devils as a whole, from top to bottom, including Tom Fitzgerald as general manager, are very much under evaluation from Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment as to whether or not the general manager and the coaching staff moving forward are going to be back.
Domi isn't a bad fit, but he's not a perfect one either. It really depends on what the Leafs value more in that moment. If you enjoyed this react, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know if you think Domi should stay with Matthews.